Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Bill. We've got Zap right over there. How's it going, buddy?
Hello. All good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Today is December 7th, 2016. This is episode 57 of a Run Jump Stomp, a podcast about video games. This week, we are going to take a little bit of a detour from what we usually do, mainly because the Game Awards and the PlayStation, what was it called again?
PlayStation event.
Yeah, PlayStation event. Those two things happen this week, so that's going to be the bulk of what we talk about today. But before we even really get started on that, we want to talk about our own video game awards that are coming up. And if you have not already, we're going to have a link that I'm pasting in chat right now where you guys can vote on which games. These are the nominations that you guys sent in. So a couple weeks ago, we put out a request for you guys to pick categories. You guys sent in categories. Then we said for each category, please nominate as many games as you want. And you guys did that as well. Thank you so much for helping us out with this. It really makes the whole thing just work a lot better when we've got input from you guys. And now this week we get to vote. So basically, you go to that link, and Zap, do you want to go through the list of what the chat has nominated?
Yeah. First of all, we've got best narrative, which best narrative nominations are Inside, Firewatch, Dishonored 2, and Stardew Valley. Do you want to do a section each?
Yeah, sure. Best independent game was Stardew Valley, Chromagun, Subnautica, Fury, and Superhot.
Best handheld game, Pokemon Sun and Moon, Fire Emblem Fates, and World of Final Fantasy.
Best mobile phone game was Shadowverse, or nominees were Shadowverse, You Have to Build a Boat, Fallout Shelter, sorry, I can't talk apparently, Egg Incorporated, Clash Royale, and Pokemon Go.
Best nominations for Best Development Studio, not the only one I can't speak, Blizzard, Arcane Studios, and Square Enix.
Most anticipated game of 2017 nominees are Persona 5, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mass Effect Andromeda, Kingdom Hearts 3, For Honor, with an extra capital O apparently, and Halo Wars 2.
Best family game nominations are Pokemon Sun and Moon, Pokemon Go, and Jackbox 3.
Nominations for Best Fighting Game are Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, Street Fighter 5, Pokken Tournament, and Killer Instinct Season 3.
Best RPG nominations are Pokemon Sun and Moon, Darkest Dungeon, The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine, Dark Souls 3, and Final Fantasy 15.
It looks like a good year for RPGs, I gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
Best Action/Adventure Game, Dishonored 2, Doom, and Uncharted 4.
Best strategy game nominations are Civilization 6, XCOM 2, Stellaris, and Fire Stellaris. Stellaris.
Yeah.
And Fire Emblem Fates.
Best multiplayer experience, Necropolis, Overwatch, and Jackbox 3.
Wooden Spoon Award, aka the biggest disappointment of 2016. Nominations go to No Man's Sky, Battleborn, and Roller Coaster Tycoon World.
Best MMO nominations were World of Warcraft Legion, Elder Scrolls Online 1 Tamriel, Ark Survival Evolved, and The Division.
Biggest surprise of nominations. So this is the games that didn't think much of, and all of a sudden they were like, wow, they're amazing. We've got Doom, Dying Light, The Following, World of Final Fantasy, and Overwatch.
Best music/score nominations were Final Fantasy 15, Planet Coaster, Fury, and Overwatch.
Best graphics nominations are Final Fantasy 15, Dishonored 2, Planet Coaster, and Uncharted 4.
Best shooter was Overwatch and Doom were the only two nominees there.
And Game of the Year nominations, which is the only Game of the Year you can take note of, coming from us is...
You just knock it off there, sir.
Dishonored 2, Overwatch, and Final Fantasy 15. Wow, that's some seriously good hard categories there.
Yes, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. So if you guys click that link, and if you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a link below. And if you are just listening to it on the podcast, there'll be a link in the show notes as well. Thank you, everybody who made nominations. I just want to add that there were a couple things. I did have to remove a couple nominees just because they weren't made in 2016. Like I think Guild Wars 2 was nominated for best MMO, which, while I agree it's fantastic, it didn't have a big a massive change to it in 2016. So I kind of took it out of the running there, just because there wasn't a big release for it. Yes, they did have Living World stuff, but I took that out of there. There were a couple other things where I think people had put things in the wrong category. Like somebody had put, oh gosh, what the heck was it? I think that somebody had put World of Final Fantasy in the best shooter category. I was like, well, I think that they meant to put that someplace else, so I moved it for them. Anyway, those are the nominees. Please make sure you vote so that your the game that you want to win has a better chance. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back after this. Stick around. All right, sorry about that. My son had a question about math, I think. So let's go ahead and get started on the rest of the show. Zap, what do you want to talk about first? Do you want to do the Game Awards first, or do you want to do?
Should we do the light stories? Let's do the light stories first, and at the end of the light stories, what we do is don't spend too much time on the light stories, and then leave the Game Awards and the PlayStation event towards the end of the light stories. Get through everything else, and then we'll hammer on with those two, because we've still got a few bits to talk about. Actually, looking at the show notes,
we do. The first thing, the first story for today is this is going to be rage-inducing. Have you clicked on this yet, Zap?
Clicked on it. I heard about it earlier this week.
Oh,
I'm ready to scream.
God, I am so angry about this. Okay, so The Last Guardian has been in development for... I can't even say how... It's been in development for a really long time. I think it was originally supposed to be a PS3 game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was supposed to be the follow-up to the spiritual successor to Shadow and the Colossus.
Right. But it was supposed to come out on the PS3, I think.
Yeah. It was supposed to come out on the PS3. I believe this game's been in development for... I want to say like 13 years or something silly like that. It's been a long time.
And go ahead.
I think they announced it originally in 2009, and then oh man, Last Guardian is just one of them stories. You carry on.
Now, this does not tell us anything about how good of a game it is. I don't know anything about that. I haven't played it at all. That being said, a game being in development for a really long time can be a good thing or a bad thing. I really hope that this is not a precursor for things to come, because apparently, if you want to play The Last Guardian at a reasonably stable frame rate, you're going to need a PS4 Pro. So you can buy the game on the PS4, but apparently people are getting a really fluctuating frame rates between 20 and 30 frames per second on the original PS4, which, as somebody who might be getting one soon, that's really upsetting to me. I guarantee I'm not going to pick this game up, and I think the number of people out there who have a PS4 Pro compared to the number of people who have a PS4 are very small. So I think that the developers, Digital Foundry of this game, I think that they have made a huge mistake by, and I don't know if they just said this has been in development too long, we have to move on, or if they decided that it just wasn't important to maximize frame rate on an older console. What do you think about this story, Zap? I'm pretty upset.
Do you have an ability to bleep my words? Because that's exactly how I feel. This is disgusting. As a person who adores Sony, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've never been hyped for The Last Guardian. And secondly, I've played this. Right, I've played this game. The control system is infuriating.
Oh, how so?
If you want to basically, the AI for the Trico, whatever it is a little bit stupid at times. On top of that, not to give anything away, I don't want to talk about too much spoilers. Mechanically, it can talk about mechanics. It can spoil the game. It's a puzzle game, which is what it is. But the camera is awful. You have issues with controls when you're moving things. It's not responsive enough. It's all over the place. And that's just the start of it. And then to say that the PS4, which I have an original PS4, I love my PS4, to say that it dips below 10 frames per second on a PS4, well, that's not good enough. I don't mind games coming out. Resident Evil 7, for example, coming out I think January, February time next year. They said it will run perfectly fine on both consoles, but what you'll get on the PS4 Pro is the ability to play it in 4K, and it'll look sharper, it'll look snazzy. You know, I don't mind that, as long as both games run on both systems. And I believe, I completely agree with what you just said. I'm scared that this is a precursor of things to come. You know, Nintendo, we said before that when one of their consoles come out, they've always stopped developing for another console. Do you know, it's kind of that kind of stopping the old console and then trying to push everyone towards the new console, which is fair enough when you've got a console that's different from your predecessor console, like the PS3 and the PS4. But when you've got a console that PS4 and PS4 Pro, when all it is just graphically looking better and a slightly better chip inside it and all that, no different in games or anything. This isn't good enough. The game should run. I am so annoyed and angry that this game has been in development. Kodiak Moonwolf said that it's been almost 10 years for development. Dev started in 2007, so I went too far out with 2009. 10 years. 10 years development. And this is what's happened. Now, whether you're right, Run Jump, in the fact that they had to get this out the gate, because it's been delayed after delayed after delayed after delayed after delayed. I mean, there was a point where you thought it was cancelled. There's also a point where you thought it was, where it just didn't exist. It's very much like Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 15, 10-year development cycle, but plays fine on the PS4. So, it's infuriating to see, and I hope it's not something that's coming for the future of the PlayStation, because that would be a mistake.
All right. Snow Goes Ham in chat. He says, Zap, what do you think about the mostly positive reception the game has received, even with the wonky controls and camera?
I want to know what game they're playing. Because when I played it, I didn't spend a lot of time with it, to be fair. I do want to sit down and have a bit more time with it. It's really difficult. A lot of big reviewers, IGN, Destructoid, a lot of the big guys, GameSpot, they all gave it good reviews on its like graphic fidelity and how well it looked, the art style. Even though, and they're basically saying that the game overall, you can play it past the problems it's got. Well, I can't. If it's been in development for 10 years, this should be an almost perfect game. That's my argument. I understand there'll be bugs and there'll be issues when the game comes out because they won't have the player base playing it like they have when it's in development. But at the same time, wonky controls, did they not have someone test that? Did they not have someone sit there and go, well, these controls are a bit awful? The camera as well, it's like, these sort of things should be tested. I disagree with the positive reception personally, because I think the game game needs more polish. As simple as that. For a 10-year developed game, it needs more polish. And it proves here that a normal PlayStation can't get the game to run, above 10 frames per second. We're not talking 30 frames, which is pretty much standard on a console, Xbox One and a PS4. We're talking getting out of single digits. That's ridiculous. In 2016.
Although, to be fair, the article did say that the 10 frames per second was an outlier, and rebooting the PS4 fixed that.
Okay, so that was... that was an issue.
The thing about this story, and we'll say it and move on because we got a lot to talk about today, is I just really worry that PS4 owners are going to be left behind. Now, Snow Goes Ham also said that he saw gameplay footage of the game on the original PS4, and it only drops frames during moments where environments are destroyed. He believes it's over-exaggerated. That might be true. I personally haven't seen any of this, so I don't know. Until I actually have one in my hands and I am looking at it myself, I'm going to reserve judgment. The reason I put it into the show was because this is a thing that really scares me for how consoles are going to go in the future. For a very long time, if you wanted to have the latest and greatest, you got a PC and you upgraded that thing. If you wanted to buy it once and be set for 7 to 8 years, you bought a console, and you knew that the games that you bought on that console on the first day that the console was out, they would run just as well as the games that came out after 5 or 6 years. Those games would run just as well because it was designed with that console in mind. So now it seems like we're having the problems of the PC mixed with consoles, and that just makes me a little nervous. What do you have for our next story?
Well, we'll skip
we'll skip that.
Yeah, skip that, and I'll go to which would be my last story. Bob the Builder in Elder Scrolls Online.
Bob the Builder.
Do you like my snazzy taglines there? Alright guys, so the Elder Scrolls Online, which me and you have both enjoyed. We both enjoy the Elder Scrolls Online. It's a fantastic game. If you haven't played it, it's a buy-to-play game, and they run quite a lot of free events and stuff like that. It's a very good game. There's no subscription. But how do you feel like building a house?
Yeah, that sounds cool. I mean, are you somebody who generally likes housing in MMOs?
I've never been in an MMO. What's an MMO? An MMO that's involved housing. My nearest thing was Guild Wars with the guild system, which, to be fair, isn't like housing at all. So I've never been involved in an MMO that has housing at all. So I'm quite tempted to give this a go. I mean, it's a free update, so why not? And it's coming in February, so this sounds quite cool.
I have played MMOs that have housing. I played Final Fantasy XI. That had a housing you would go into, and I really liked the way that they did it. Everybody's house was basically you went down this one street in like one of the towns or whatever, and it teleported you to your house. It's not like they had to build another zone. It was just like you walked through this gate and then you were in your house, and so you had no idea how many houses were there. And I thought it was cool, and it's a good way for them to build things in order to have like in most games it's gold, but like a gold sink.
Of course.
Which is good because that helps you fight inflation. Oh, shoot. People are starting to have too much money. Quick, make a couch. So somebody can really easily slap together a couple of textures and some polygons, and then that's going to be a bunch of gold pulled out of the game. So I think that housing is a good thing. It's not anything that I ever really took part in. Mostly because in these games, I am terrible at making money. I personally am really bad at making money in games. Like, I typically walk around in Guild Wars 2 right around 10 gold. And that's
just a waypoint.
That's typical for me because I can, every time I get enough, I end up spending it. I'm like, all right, well, now I'm going to upgrade this or whatever. And, meanwhile, my friends are walking around and they got like gold, like as they run down the streets, it's like, it's like, Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption when he walks out into the prison yard and he's dropping the dirt out of his pant leg. Like these guys they just got coins, a trail of coins following them around. And I'm like, how do you guys make that much money in these games? And then they tell me and I try it and I'm like, God, this is so dull. I can't play the game like that. So yeah. I always just leave the housing stuff behind. But that being said, I'm glad that it's in the game because it's one more thing for people to do. And I think it'd be kind of cool. So I think it's great.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a free update it's even better. I haven't jumped into ESO since the Tamriel 1 update dropped. I really, at some point, need to jump back in there and have a look. So, ESO, I enjoy it as a game. Now they did the improvements that they've done. So, yeah, this is a cool update. It definitely deserved a mention. I thought, yeah. So, if you are ESO players out there, just remember this game is super cheap as well. This game is really, really cheap now. You can pick it up quite, at a decent price, and it's a solid MMO at that.
It is, and as soon as the one Tamriel thing came out, I patched it, and then I didn't get back to playing it again, just because I just haven't had time to fit it in between Guild Wars 2 and playing a Twilight Princess and playing Pokemon on my 3DS. I have not had enough time to play this game, and I really want to. Because it's really good. If you haven't tried it out, definitely try it out. It's in my opinion, the best MMO you can play with a controller, without a doubt. So if you want to sit back and you can hook up, maybe you got a Steam Link, or maybe you want to play it on your PS4, or I believe it's also on Xbox, and you want to sit back on your couch and play an MMO. This is the one that you want to do that with, because it plays really well with the controller in it. All right, our next story, if I can close that, is... Oh, where did it go? Oh, yes. Okay, Pokemon Go is getting an update. I love Pokemon Go. It is a really good game, and it's finally getting an update. There's been confirmation. That's the wrong button. It's been confirmation from Niantic that there are more Pokemon coming to Pokemon Go, and they're going to tell us more details on December 12th. So here's my question for you and for Chad. I'm just curious. Do you guys think that they're going to bring the full Gen 2 to Pokemon Go, or are they just going to bring a few at a time? Because we don't know what they're going to do.
I want to see them put all of them in. For me personally, we discussed at length both our thoughts on the different systems inside Pokemon Go. I like it because it gives me a chance to have a walk with the kids, and the kids enjoy it and stuff like that. So I have it installed on my phone for mainly that reason. If they add all of Gen 2, it gives you a lot more to capture, and a lot more to go for. If they sort of add it drips and drabs, I think I'll be a little bit disappointed.
The way I look at it, I think that there's a couple of different ways that they could do this. They do this all at once. They're going to have a huge influx of people playing again, right? If they do it a little bit at a time, they're going to have more people playing consistently, I think. So maybe you add, 3 new Pokemon. Well, how many are in Gen 2? Do you know off the top of your head? I know Princess probably knows.
Where's Escort Princess when you need her?
I don't know off the top of my head, but let's say that there's 100. I don't know. If they add like 5 Pokemon a week, that means that people are constantly going to be, hey, I've got a new thing to do. I've got a new thing to do. I've got a new thing to do. Whereas if they add 100 all at once, people are going to show up. They'll play for a couple weeks, and then most of those people will drop off. I think it would be in their best interest to add them a few at a time. And for the hardcore fans of Pokemon Go, I know that they're probably not happy to hear me say something like that, but I think that that's a better business move for them. As in chat says, if Niantic wanted a consistent player base, they'd make more stops in gyms out in suburban and small town areas. I totally agree. I live in the middle of nowhere, and if we want to go catch Pokemon, we have to get in a car. We have to get in a car and drive to someplace else to do it. We do that because it's fun, and my son loves doing it, but getting in a car to go do it is a pain, and I shouldn't have to do that.
I don't know how old the article is I just posted in the chat, but this is about the second generation list. And it says Pokemon second generation.
That's 100.
100 new Pokemon and 86 new moves, with a new game mechanic known as Baby Pokemon, which are hatched from eggs by Pokemon breeding. Okay,
I'm having trouble hearing you, Zap. Can you sit closer?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I thought it was enough. A new game mechanic known as Baby Pokemon, which are hatched from eggs from egg by Pokemon breeding. Whether this is all coming in the next update, I like keeping an eye on Pokemon Go because it's one of those games that just seems to be able to draw you back in, if that makes sense. You can put it down for a few weeks and go, I'm going for a walk today, let's catch some Pokemon on the way round. So if this has been data mined and this is what's coming, then it sounds quite cool. I like the idea. Maybe, yeah, it's a good idea to add it in drips and drabs, like 20 at a time. So we'll have to wait and see what they're going to do. It'll be very interesting. Snow Goes Ham just in chat says 802 total Pokemon as of Sun and Moon. So, they've got a lot of Pokemon to put in Pokemon Go.
And they already have because of X and Y, which was the first 3D Pokemon, they already have 3D models of all these things.
Yeah, of course. It's all there. So that's quite cool. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, 12th is in 5 days' time, so we'll be sort of next Monday. We'll find out more about it.
We will. Speaking of the 12th, the day after, much more exciting day. We're going to be, and I'm jumping the gun here, but I just want to, just because it reminded me, Overwatch had tweeted an awesome tweet, and I am really excited about this. It is just a picture of one of the maps, and it says, "You're invited," with some snow, and it says December 13th. They're having a holiday event, and I love Blizzard holiday events, so I am really stoked about that. There's something else happening on the 13th. Isn't there a Guild Wars 2 thing happening on the 13th?
Winter's Day is coming as well.
Oh, that's right.
So
what's the first thing here's the question for Zap. What's the first thing you're going to load up? Are you going to load up Winter's Day stuff, or are you going to jump into Overwatch first?
Ooh, ouch. Probably Guild Wars 2, because I have more time in Guild Wars 2 than I do Overwatch. And especially with my own work life now about to go manic, I'll probably do a little bit of Winter's Day, but because I never get these Winter's events because of work. I haven't done a proper Winter's Day for ages, ever since I played Guild Wars. So these winter events don't really mean too much to me because I normally miss the bulk of it. So it's kind of like, yeah, okay, that's cool. So I'm not so hyped about it as other events.
I am very hyped about it, mostly for the Overwatch thing, just because the Blizzard's the stuff that they've been doing for the things that they've added to Overwatch have been incredibly fun every single time.
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree with that. That's a very good point. Blizzard do add some good stuff, so I can see why people are hyped.
What's the next story?
Well, a couple of mentions really. A mention. If you want to give Final Fantasy 14 a go, now's your time. It's free to play.
Wait, permanently?
It's free to. No. Don't get too excited.
Oh.
Just simmer down. A Realm Reborn is free. It's like on a 96-hour time span or something. Now I haven't worked out if that's 96 hours from when you log in, as in, and if you log out, the time stops. It's like game time. or if it's just 90, which if it's 96 hours over the course of like 3 days or whatever, 4 days, then that's a bit stupid. But it's free at the minute. So if you're unsure about having a go have a go. Now is your time to give this game a go, because it's if you're a Final Fantasy fan, go and play it. And I've started today, and I've started again today, and I'm on the verge of putting my sub back onto it because I'm enjoying it that much.
See, if it didn't have a sub,
Run Jump would be there in a heartbeat. Yeah, no, I totally. You play WoW, so that's the kind of thing you're. It's kind of like the way I see it. It's you kind of either with one or the other sort of thing. You can obviously play both, but we both know that MMOs are very, very time consuming. So playing 2 MMOs or even 3, very, very difficult.
It is. I've never been able to maintain it. Like right now, I'm paying for WoW, but I haven't logged in like 2 weeks.
So Kodiak actually says in chat, actually Zap, the 4-day thing, I think that you've already played it, but there is so you get a 14-day free trial. So it's 2 weeks. So you have a 2-week free trial.
Oh, okay.
So it's even if you just do the free trial, it's well worth a jump in. It really is. It's a gorgeous looking MMO. With a lot going for it. But for me, what I'm finding is the combat system's a bit dull.
I've watched streams of it, and the combat system looks like it was made 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like back when they were looking, like, let's look at how World of Warcraft does it. All right, they've got a piano's worth of buttons on the screen. Let's make sure that every character has 47 buttons that they have to hit. And like World of Warcraft has been moving away from that for a really long time. So like now when you are playing World of Warcraft, you typically have probably 5 to 6 abilities that you use regularly in combat, and then maybe 5 or 6 cooldowns that you would use, and then the rest of it's stuff that you almost never use. And so I was playing just fine on my Paladin. I didn't have all that stuff on my bar. And it's really more about positioning than having the manual dexterity to hit a million buttons. Guild Wars 2 is the same thing. It's got 10 abilities. And then, well, let's say worst case scenario, you play a druid, engineer, or a mesmer. They all have 10 abilities and then 5 other buttons that they may have to hit. And it's really not all that bad. That's a good thing to manage, and they really focus a lot on positioning in that game. WildStar had some of the best combat, and they had only 8 abilities for everybody. And I thought that was really fantastic. Snow Goes Ham in chat says that the next expansion is revamping the combat system, apparently. That's great. I hope it just means that they're pruning the abilities down.
I've just found a post on it. I knew somewhere before. I had it in my head, and Snow Goes Ham beat me to it. Actually, Stormblood, which is the new expansion, will usher in a revamped battle system, which will include an additional skill system, overhaul, and a reassessment of ineffective and unused actions. So that sounds very positive. The Stormblood, I think, is due to release beginning of summer 2017. So that may be the point. I may not bring my sub back in just yet. May wait to see what Stormblood does and then get it all as one. But I will say this for Final Fantasy XIV. The content is unreal. There is, you've got Final Fantasy XIV, the base, and then you've got Heavensward, which was the first expansion. And apparently there is like a month's worth of content just in the base game alone before you get to Heavensward. There is so much to do and so much content. So if you're looking for a game with a lot of content, way to go.
All right. And I was one of the people who loved Final Fantasy XI, even though it was incredibly grindy. Is Final Fantasy, before we move on, I'm just curious, is Final Fantasy XIV as grindy as 11 was?
I think the best way I describe grind, probably I haven't got that far into it yet. I just think that Every MMO has some sense of grind. It just depends on your determination of grind. I know 11 was really grinding.
11,
but I
you would literally find a group and you would camp, just like back in EverQuest. And I don't know if anybody out there had played EverQuest, but in EverQuest and in Final Fantasy 11, here's how we would typically level up. You wouldn't go and do quests. What you would do instead is you would go to a spot and you would find other people who'd be like, all right, Red Mage or a Monk, I want to do this. Or get a group together. So you've got your group, and then you would send one of the party out into the wilderness to find a monster, and they would smack the monster. We called it pulling. We'd smack the monster and run back to the group with the monster chasing you. They get back to the group, and then the group works together to kill that monster. You guys get XP, and then the person goes out again to get the next monster. That's how you leveled up in those games. It was crazy. I had a lot of fun doing it, but once World of Warcraft came out and they added quests, like real quests to the game, and changed the way that you leveled up, that's why World of Warcraft did so well, was because it was the first one to really have that questing system. Up until then, we were just literally out there grinding mobs up to get XP, and it was crazy to do that. And Final Fantasy XI was just like that. And not only that, but there were bosses in Final Fantasy XI that took, and I am not exaggerating here, and I never got that far, but I'm not exaggerating, 72 hours to kill. Like, people would take shifts on their raid in order to fight these bosses. I don't understand how people could do that, how anybody ever figured it out, but that's what they did. So hopefully Square Enix has learned something since making Final Fantasy XI and working on 14 afterwards.
Yeah, well, 14. I think 14 was a remake of one of 4. I think they screwed up the first iteration of 14, hence the name Realm Reborn. It's one of the most popular MMOs out there, isn't it? So they're doing something right, and you can see why. I mean, grind-wise, I play Warframe, which is so grindy. You could be running the same mission but one mod, and that could take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, how many other hours just to get one drop. So I don't know. I'd have to wait till I'll have to get back to that question on grind when I get further in.
All right, let's move on to the next story. The next story is that Final Fantasy 15 is getting updates that will deepen the story and fix its worst chapter. Now, all I'm going to say, because I don't know anything about this, and we're just looking at the headline. That's it. Okay? They said expect patches for the year to come. So that means that you should be expecting Final Fantasy 15 to get updates for the next year, which I think is very interesting that they are... most single-player games are fire and forget. The development company works on it. They push it out the door. They might fix a few bugs, but then you don't hear from them again. Multiplayer games are the ones that usually get a bunch of patches. So apparently there is a quote-unquote worst chapter, and there's going to be a fix for it. I'm not sure what that means. I'm glad that I'm not going to have it before it's fixed, probably. So yay me. But are you excited to getting these updates that will quote unquote deepen the story?
Yeah, I won't talk about the story updates. I know what updates are coming, or some of the updates that they're planning. This is no spoilers. Jesus Christ, I wouldn't spoil this story because people would literally freak. My God, I haven't actually completed the story yet. I've actually taken a little break from Final Fantasy 15 to play Final Fantasy 14. It's not much of a break. Play one, go from one to the other. Yeah, I know of the chapter that they're talking about. I haven't got there yet. I don't intend to get to that chapter so far for a while. So I'm hoping I'll miss this. They are adding a lot to it, which is really nice. Again, I know this is going to sound like I'm contradicting to what The Last Guardian, the whole develop thing, but I think, again, Final Fantasy 15 falls into the same category that you said about The Last Guardian. they had to reach a deadline and they had to get out the door. You know, it had got to the, you know, that point where fans were like chomping at the bit and wanting to know when it was coming out, so they dropped it out. And there are parts of Final Fantasy. The Final Fantasy 15 is that game that, when you first play it, does this to you, and then you realise that, you know, that this is a game. It is just unbelievably wonderful. But there are a few problems with it, and it's made me happy that Square Enix aren't just doing the paid DLC, because there are three expansions which have the stories from the other members of your crew, your boy band, from the guitarist, the bassist, and the drummer, as I've now named them all in my party. So you'll get the story from there. You'll get a story from their perspective. They're actually doing, and all these updates that they've talked about, which we hear, these patches are all free. They're all coming free. So this is really good. So I can't wait to. Apparently, the end game as well is really solid, and they're just going to improve it. So, Square Enix, you are turning to be my favourite developer this year. Seriously, it's done so much good.
All right, you want to tell us about this Battleborn story?
Yeah, I feel sorry for Battleborn. What was my? How long can you battle on Battleborn? What a sorry state that was earlier this year. It's a shame, because Gearbox are a wonderful development team behind the loved series of Borderlands, and they brought out Battleborn, and we know what kind of happened. It just sort of flopped. This was released at the same time as Overwatch.
Yeah.
Whether it was just bad timing, because they're different games. They're completely different games.
But they look the same. That's the problem. Is they look very similar.
Of course. They have different mechanics. Yes, they look the same, but there's different mechanics in each game. But unfortunately and Battleborn comes with a PvE mode as well. Not a great extensive PvE mode. Apparently they're bringing a new player experience. They're bringing a new experience to people this winter, which is all 25 core characters unlocked, which should have been from the start.
So how did you unlock them before? Did you have to pay for them, or did you just?
No, you just went through the system. They advertise it as this hero shooter like Overwatch. Overwatch, you have 20 characters. I can't think how many characters are in Overwatch, but you have all the characters unlocked. And you can choose your hero, where you go, and you can really get it. It's like you can get involved in every single hero. With Battleborn, you have to go through like an unlock system to unlock those heroes.
Kind of like an old school fighting game.
Yeah, very similar to that. And some people just don't want that. If you're playing a hero shooter, you want to be able to play all your heroes. It's not like a MOBA where if you're playing a MOBA, like Heroes of the Storm, you have heroes on rotation. This is supposed to be a hero shooter with different mechanics. Mm-hmm. And so give me all of the 25 players. New main quest, story mode missions will have more guides and tools to lead you through various areas of the game. The credit rewards have also been boosted to help you early edge on loot packs. Right? Okay, that sounds. If the story mode's not working, and it feels like when I played Battleborn, it felt like it didn't really know its identity. It felt like it wanted to be like Borderlands, which in its own right is a very successful game. It's a PvE cooperative shooter with a lot going for it and some real cool. It's just very cool. Battleborn feels like it wants to be part Borderlands, part Overwatch. And it's like, well, which one are you? Are you a story game? Not saying that games can't have a story mode and a multiplayer, but in Battleborn, both modes are. It's like they haven't developed enough for either mode. Two new training modes in incursion tools, build up your PvP skills and learn the key elements of competitive play in Battleborn. The thing is, you can build all your skills up, but is it going to be any good when the player base is so small? And I just feel like Gearbox should just say, right, this one failed. I
don't want them to shut down the servers because I'm sure that there's people out there who bought Battleborn and enjoyed it, especially because when Overwatch came out, Battleborn dropped the price to a really, really low price. I think it was like $10 or something like that, which was a really good move on their part. I'm sure that they got a few people to buy it, and I bet you that there's, of the people who bought it, they probably have quite a few people who enjoyed it, because everybody that I talked to who played it said it was a really good game. It just looked so similar to Overwatch that everybody assumed it was an Overwatch clone, when that's just really too bad. If it had come out at a different year or at a different time, it probably would have been top dog.
Yeah.
I understand that they have to... Go ahead.
Sorry, you go ahead.
Well, I understand they have to find a way to make back the development money, the development costs that they incurred on this, and so they've got to do something in order to entice people back in. I just hope they don't sacrifice what is apparently a very good game in the interests of making trying to copy something else or chase that unicorn, if that makes any sense.
Snowgo Ham in chat. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Snowgo's Ham makes a point in chat that there is actually a blatant Overwatch code on Steam that is free to play and there's more players than Battleborn. Well, we know which game you're talking about there. Snowgo's Ham, there was no pulling punches at all. I played Battleborn. Battleborn's a great game. I like Gearbox stuff. They make some really good, but I think this is just a case of wrong time to release. You just caught it at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Do you want to get into the Game Awards?
I think it's time we cracked into the two main stories. Isn't it?
All right. Let's. So the Game Awards, they came and went.
Yes.
I personally, if you want to talk about who won and things like that, I'm fine with that. But for me, I'm more interested in the announcements that were made at the Game Awards. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
First of all, we'll just announce what the Game Awards Game of the Year was. And Overwatch took it. I want to know, are you surprised by that? Do you think it's worthy of that title? Mind you, this is a multiplayer only game. So, do you think that that game there deserves the Game Awards Game of the Year? Mind you, we'll get 50 other games of the year come out before the end of the year.
Right. The way I look at it, here's a really good indicator if a game is a really good game or not. When you look at the Twitch front page, not the front page, but the all games or the directory, you tend to see the same games up there every single day, unless there's a new game that came out, and then that'll be up there for probably a week, and then it'll disappear. And Overwatch, since it has come out, has consistently been one of the top games in the Twitch directory, and that's just a testament to how good it is. And it really is. It's a shooter that draws in people who don't play shooters, and I think that goes to show you how awesome that Blizzard did when they made Overwatch. I'm not going to say whether or not I think it deserves it, because we're going to be talking about what we think deserves Game of the Year next week. But I do think that it definitely deserves a seat at the table. And whether or not it should have earned Game of the Year, I think that's up to each individual person to make that decision.
Yeah, no, I totally see your point and agree with it. I think that it's definitely a testament when you click on Twitch and that is there. And it's a great game. We both know how good Overwatch is. And enough gushing about Overwatch. There was a lot happening in the game. I want to talk about my frustration before I get on to the good stuff. That the fact that it was advert after advert for all sorts of stuff. Plus, there wasn't enough trailers with in-game footage, which annoys me personally. I know there's one that I will talk about, which will contradict what I'm about to say, but that's from one developer, and it doesn't matter what anybody says. I'm like that when they talk about that developer. La 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 la. The whole point on I still want to see in-game footage. Mass Effect looks gorgeous. That game looks stunning. I had to wait till the end of the Game Awards to see the damn trailer. Though I was like, come on. So that looks really, really cool. But yeah, for me, there's a few things. Just going back to the frustrations that some of those awards that they handed out didn't seem like they meant anything because there was no award for that award. As in, they didn't like get the. When you watch an award show like the Grammys or we have the Brit Awards here for music, any award show, they're dedicated to the awards, not to. It kind of felt like a Mickey taking a copy and paste of what E3 would be like, then added some awards on top. And this is my very personal opinion. People might disagree with me completely. Some people may have loved the show. I just wanted to see a little bit more recognition for the industry that we're all involved in. If they're doing, best, I can't off the top of my head which ones didn't quite get it, like best mobile game. Okay, some people might not even agree that deserves a stage light. But at the end of the day, it's an award that was there at the Game Awards. So give them that 5 minutes of love from the audience. Put them up there. Let them say a speech. No, just toss their award to one side and say, "Oh, Pokemon Go won best mobile game of the year," and then leave it at that. I just think that was a little bit like sweep them under the rug, and that's very much me. Not that's nothing to do. Me and you might disagree on that point.
Well, actually, so I shut them off. I turned on I started watching the Game Awards, and I found myself to be incredibly bored. The only thing that I cared about were the announcements. Like, I wanted to see the new stuff. What new stuff was going to get announced? I could not care less about a couple of guys who are voice actors in Gears of War rapping.
Oh no, don't.
I was like, I don't care about that stuff. I feel like even though, I am a gamer. I'm so much of a gamer that I have a flippin' podcast about video games. I really care about video games. I don't think that I am the target demographic for the Game Awards. I feel like the Game Awards are meant for high schoolers myself. They singled in on that audience, and they were like, these are the people that we want to talk to. We want to talk to the 15 to 18-year-olds because we want to get them excited about stuff. But they did not get me. Like, watching the Game Awards, I was incredibly bored and unimpressed, and I felt like, God, this makes me feel... How do I want to say this? They're lumping me in as a gamer with people who like this crap. And that made me feel bad. I was like, oh, God, why am I lumped in with these people? These people. You know what I mean? I just found it awful.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
So I shut it off, and then all I did was I read who won the next day, and then I watched the announcement videos to see, oh, okay, here's this video game that's coming out in the future, because that's really what I care about. Do I think that certain people deserve to be recognized for their work? Yes, but the Video Game Awards, or the Game Awards in this case, because they had to change the name of it because it's Spike TV or whatever. The way I look at that is that it should be like the Oscars. It should be professional. People should be dressed up. I like to watch the Oscars. I think that that's enjoyable. I don't watch it anymore because I don't have cable. But I remember back in the day, like, people would come over to my apartment, we'd hang out and watch the Oscars together. It was a fun thing. I would not watch this with somebody because it was very, and I hate to say this phrase, but I'm going to say it anyway, it was cringy. It was like,
it was.
God, it wasn't as bad as, like, the VGA's awards back where they're trying to make, where they have the host, and the host is trying to make video gamey jokes or whatever, like, hey, look at us, we're all gamers, and we're giant nerds that live in our basements. I just feel like they're trying to be stereotypical again, and I just didn't like it. So I said, shut it off, and I watched the other stuff.
I think you had the best way of watching it, and I think that, no, honestly, I do agree. I watched my first watching of the Game Awards. It was 2014, and that was a really good production. It was like it was a bit dodgy and a bit sketchy. But the guy who hosts it is the guy who runs the whole thing. But it looked like they were trying to do something different, and they were basically telling us that they were going to only bring, this idea of, this idea that they were going to change it. Only in-game footage was going to be allowed. Less kind of CGI trailers. Not so many adverts. Less cringe. Best way to put it. And in 2016 just feels like it just reverted back to whatever stuff that you don't want to watch. And I did feel at points I was just cringing at what was going on, and I just thought to myself, there are people probably there's probably families out there who've got their sons and their daughters who are gamers watching this with their parents, and their parents are probably going, "What the hell is this?" And you're trying to get someone involved in the industry that you love. That's the worst way possible. But that being said, should we talk about some of the trailers that dropped and some of the stuff that came from the Game Awards?
Yeah, I wrote a whole post about it over at runjumpstomp.com about the things that I saw. So I'm gonna jump right in and talk about the number one thing that I got really excited about, and that was the Breath of the Wild trailer. I completely expected, like when Nintendo came out and they said, "Hey, we're going to show some Breath of the Wild stuff," I was like, well, we've already seen Breath of the Wild stuff. I really don't need to see anything else to get more excited about it. I'm going to buy your game. Just leave me alone. And then it came out, and the stuff that we saw, that blew me away. I forgot how excited I am for that game. And I'm going to say the same thing that I said before it. I don't need to see any more. I'm going to buy the game. I just need it to come out. But they totally pulled me in again. Like, I was watching it, and like the next day I was at work and I was talking with a buddy of mine, and I was like, look at this, and then look at that, the monster walked around the bomb. How cool is that? Oh, wow. It was the one thing about that trailer that made me sad was no date was given. They just said 2017, and I'm like, oh, it really lends more credence to the idea that that it's probably going to be delayed again.
Pushback. I saw the Zelda trailer. I thought you'd be really excited about that. That it looks awesome. It looks beautiful, and it looks lovely. It really does look wonderful. I think that it's going to be a fantastic game, and it was nice to see some gameplay of it. Really cool to see some gameplay. I think they did was it a Shrine Quest or something? And right. It was like, that's really cool. It's nice to see a bit of gameplay. You get a good idea of what's going on. I understand, coming from a person who's you're a massive Nintendo fan. That's a trailer, and even I got hyped about it. So, that's really cool. And they said that it's being developed for the Switch and the Wii U. So it's coming out on both consoles.
No, yeah, that was already known.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. All right. Well, I've got two that really got me hyped. I'm going to do the Mass. I know I talked about Mass Effect earlier, but that game looks beautiful. That game looks wonderful. BioWare, again, they haven't given us a release date, sort of, and EA have confirmed that they'll push it back if it needs to. I want that game so badly.
I'm just really excited for Andromeda that I don't have to play. Okay, so I played first one, I played the second one, I enjoyed both of them. I played the third one, but when it came out, I had a little boy running around my house all the time, and so I didn't feel like I could play it. So I didn't want to kick people out of the living room so I could play Mass Effect. And at night, usually my wife and I sit down and watch something together. So I never got to finish Mass Effect 3, and I really like that this one has nothing to do with that story, so I can jump in fresh, and I don't have to worry about what happened in 1, 2, and 3.
No, it looks like they've also got some survival elements and resource and, for your base and stuff. It looks like they're really expanding the idea of this whole going from planet to planet and seeing what you can find and seeing what's available, really. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to Mass Effect. But my biggest thing was Kojima. I adore this man. I think he's one of the best developers, producers, whatever you want to call him, out there. And he didn't deserve the gushing speech. That really made me cringe.
Yeah, that was like you could tell he was uncomfortable too.
I was uncomfortable watching it, and at the same time, it was like you deserve the award that you're about to get, because obviously the whole Konami thing, like last year.
Can you sum that up in 2 sentences, just for people who didn't know what happened with Konami last year?
Konami pooped on Kojima. Hard.
They did.
Is the best way to put it. You know, the guy did so much for him, and it's just so sad that it ended in such a bad way. And if you've played Metal Gear Solid 5, you'll see where Kojima is working with, and it's so apparent in the game. It's ridiculous. Where you can see where Kojima is working with Konami, and then when he's working against Konami, that's so apparent in that last game. So for me, when Kojima left, it was a good move. No one knew really what he was going to do. And he reveals a trailer at, I think it was E3, of Norman Reedus and a fetus. Is the best way to put it. It's the strangest. It's so
that.
weird. It's
Norman Reedus and a fetus.
Yeah, it's so weird, but at the same time, it's Kojima. The hype is so real with that man, because the weird is wonderful with him, you know. And then they gave us this in-game footage of Death Stranding.
Well, that was not in-game footage, was it?
In-game engine.
Oh,
in-game engine.
Yeah, whatever that. That's not gameplay though.
No, that's not gameplay. Like I said, for me, this is the only time I get hypocritical about not gameplay, because it's just Kojima. That's as simple as it is. I can't help it. I'm a fanboy of that guy, because I played all the Metal Gears, and they're very good games. Very good games. Weird, but very good games. And this trailer was just as weird, but just as wonderful at the same time. And if you haven't seen it, go search Death Stranding on YouTube and watch it, because Mads Mikkelsen, TV's Hannibal, is in this game. And he just looks incredible. If that's how it's going to look, which I really hope it does, it's just going to look so cool. But I'm so hyped now. But it's so Kojima. What he did was he gave us this in-game engine footage, and that's it. He won't give you anything till he's ready to give you something. And usually when he wants to give you something, it's like a 10-second clip of a person walking as gameplay, and that's it. So, hats off to him for giving them the award that he deserved, and it's nice to see that he's working on some new project. So, yeah, no, I'm really excited for Death Stranding.
I thought it looked super creepy, which I thought was really interesting. Like, they had the tanks with like the tentacles or whatever coming out of the tanks,
and the weird baby.
Yeah, the weird baby. I thought it looked really, really creepy and interesting, but again, I'm uninterested because it's not gameplay footage. Not because I think that I need to see what it looks like. It's because I have no idea what kind of game this is. Like, no. Is it a first-person shooter? Is it a third-person action game? Is it a point-and-click adventure? I have no idea, and that's my only problem with it, that they didn't tell me what kind of game it is.
This leads us into our next story in a minute, but I will say this, because then we haven't got to talk about it in the next one. They are using the same engine, the Guerrilla's engine, Decima, which is the same engine that powers Horizon Zero Dawn, which comes out next year.
Okay, and that's like a third-person shooter.
No, that's an open-world action game. Is the best way to describe it. Very much like Metal Gear Solid 5.
Like a bow and arrow, right?
Third-person, sorry, third-person shooter. Sorry, I see what you're saying. So it's that kind of engine. So you can kind of think that it's probably going to be that kind of game. But I completely agree with you. I'm hyped, but I'm also a little bit uninterested because I wanted something. I wanted more. I wanted to see what this game was in game. I want to see it in game. Mainly because of what happened with No Man's Sky. That's simple as that. That is, after everything this year, that's what I want. So yeah, that's Death Stranding. I think that's really the Game Awards.
But no, because there was some other cool stuff, and now I get to be the hypocrite.
Go on then.
All right. So there is Telltale Games is bringing out a Guardians of the Galaxy game. I'm really, really excited about this. Now, here's why I get to be a hypocrite here, is because they did not show any in-game footage at all. They just showed the sign, and I'm excited about it. But at the same time, we know exactly what kind of game Telltale makes. All right, they make a game where it's going to play like The Walking Dead. It's going to play like the Lego, or not Lego, the Minecraft story mode. It's going to play like the new Batman game. It's going to play like the Back to the Future Telltale game. All their games are exactly the same, just with different intellectual properties and different characters. And that's why I'm excited about it, because I already know what I'm getting with this.
Yeah. No,
I'm getting
totally
some
agree.
comedy in the form of Guardians of the Galaxy. I really hope that they got the actors from the movie, but I doubt it. That's my one
I hope
thing.
they do.
What's that?
I hope they do as well, because they're iconic voices that you want to hear. And apparently, the rumor goes that it's going to have a different story arc that ties in with the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not going to be to do with so much of the heroes. So I think that's how they might get away with it. That's just a rumor that I've heard. So we will see what they do with that. Telltale games are pretty good. They're pretty solid.
Yeah. Also, the next one that I really wanted to talk about was that we are getting a new Shovel Knight game, Spectre of Torment. I can't wait to play this. In fact, I know that I have not yet finished Shovel Knight, so the idea that we're getting another one makes me really need to get back in there and finish this. So my goal is to finish Twilight Princess as soon as I can, so that I can finish playing through Shovel Knight, because that game is fantastic. Anything to add there?
No, I completely agree with you. I saw it was like, this is so much run jump. This looks awesome. I bought it off my Vita as well, Shovel Knight. So it's a fantastic game.
All right. Those were the big ones. I had more reactions that I posted on the website, but those were the big ones that I really wanted to talk about for the Game Awards.
That's it.
All right, so the last story, and then we'll get to our other stuff, and we are running long today, so we're going to have to hurry it up. The last story is the PSX event.
Yes, I think PlayStation had a bad year on their announcements until now. I think they basically were waiting till the end of the year to give us everything. And Sony blew me out of the water with the PlayStation event. So good. So much good was announced. Firstly, I'm going to do the big ones last. One for you, Run Jump. We got a Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. It does look like they're bringing a lot more of the actual MCU characters into this. The trailer looks cool. Really looking forward to that game. It just looks cool. It's going to be cool. Ryu and Iron Man, that's going to be a fantastic fight. It might be the third beat 'em up I get since Tekken Tag Tournament. That's the last time I had a beat 'em up game. So that looks cool. I guess you're excited for that.
I am excited for that. There's two fighting games that I really love: Smash Brothers and Marvel vs. Capcom, and they are two exceedingly different styles of game. But they're both really, really fun. And I don't know if Marvel vs. Capcom is something that I love just because of the characters or what, but I just feel like they're better games than Street Fighter. They're better games than Mortal Kombat. Killer Instinct, I remember playing that when I was a kid on my Nintendo, well, not a kid, when I was in the Army on my Nintendo 64, but Marvel vs. Capcom, I dumped a lot of quarters into. What else?
We got the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Yes! Oh my god, more Crash. Yes!
I never played those.
No! Well, this is your chance. If you do get the present, if you get that kind of gift, wait for this to come out and play it. It's an insane platformer. You get all three games and they've just made it look just stunning. Crash Bandicoot was my childhood, and it just looks fantastic. So yeah, that's something I'm really looking forward to. That's a game that deserves remaster. I know I've kind of gone on about remasters before about how I don't like it. Crash Bandicoot deserves it. It's a PlayStation 1 game, you know, and so put it on a remaster. So that's good. Anything to add on that one?
Crash Bandicoot, whatever. I really liked the commercials that Sony had back when they were, Nintendo had Mario and Sega had Sonic, and Crash Bandicoot standing outside of Nintendo and Sega, taunting them, just always made me laugh. So
yeah,
if the game is half as fun as the commercials were, maybe I'll like it, but I also remember being a lot younger when they came out, and I'm an old man now, so maybe they won't appeal to me anymore. I'm not sure.
I know what you mean. I wonder if I shouldn't play it because of just nostalgia factor. You don't want to ruin that kind of beautiful, but it looks cool. Uncharted. I'm a fan of the Uncharted series. They dropped the Lost Legacy. That's coming which is the DLC. A lot of people are hyped because it doesn't look like Nathan Drake is anywhere in sight.
Oh, so this
I'm not
is
sure
not
how
a sequel.
ended. No, this is a standalone DLC, so you can buy this, and it's completely apart from the story of number 4. So that looks really cool. Naughty Dog showing. Come on.
I was just gonna say, I thought that this was my favorite trailer of the whole thing. I was watching it and I was like, because I've never played any of the Uncharted games, any of them, and I really want to. But I was watching this trailer and I was like, oh, is this like a new Tomb Raider or something? So I was watching it and it was really cool, and I liked the way that they did it. It's not gameplay footage, so whatever. Well, no, it is gameplay footage. Never mind, it is gameplay footage. Yeah. That's how good it looks, though. I was like, well, maybe this is, but it looks really interesting, and I'm excited to play the Uncharted games. I'm not going to get to play this game for an exceedingly long time because I have to play through 4 other games first. Right? I mean, I have to play the originals before I get to 4, right?
And there is a remastered edition of the 3, which you can get for the PS4, which is amazing.
A buddy of mine at work has the Nathan Drake collection or whatever.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah. So he's going to loan that to me if I get it.
Sit through it, play it. Just sit down in a room. Don't have anyone around you. I played the first 3 Uncharted, and that's how you got to play it. It's an amazing, it's an amazing game. It really is. Naughty Dog just they knocked out of the park with that series. And what else do we have? The Knack 2. It was Knack. It was not great when it first came out. So one game that did get me quite excited was can't pronounce this. Ni no Kuni 2. Japanese RPG.
Yeah, a buddy of mine, back when I was trying to decide if I wanted to get a PS3 or an Xbox 360, my buddy kept telling me, you gotta get a PS3. You gotta get a PS3 because of Ni no Kuni. And I was like,
yeah.
I go, Ni no Kuni? What the heck is Ni no Kuni? You're on drugs, whatever. I like a JRPG. I didn't realize that this was a JRPG, and I just thought it was some kind of weird anime thing. So I'm excited. It's really weird though. I don't understand. Like, I like JRPGs, but why do they got to be so weird all the time?
That's Japan.
I know, but it's so weird. Like, just once, like, okay, when I was watching you play Final Fantasy 15, like, because you had said, I'm not doing any story stuff, so come on in. I watched a little bit. And, the mechanic. You see the mechanic, and you feel like, well, I'm a giant pervert for wanting to play this game. I don't want, my wife walks in the room, and this lady's got them all pushed up real high, and I'm like, I shouldn't, like, there should be an option to, you know, turn the pervert switch on or off. I should be able to turn off the pervert switch and then be able to play a game where I wouldn't be embarrassed if my daughter walked in and like this was on the screen.
It's one of those moments in life where I didn't even know it was going to happen. I hadn't seen anything from Final Fantasy 15, and I'm like you. I'm like, if my wife walks in right now, she's going to think, "What the hell are you playing?" And I'm sitting there thinking, "What is this? When did Final Fantasy do this?" I was like,
now, I went off on a tangent though, because Ni no Kuni doesn't look like that.
No.
But it's weird. It's just kind of weird. People have cat ears or whatever. So maybe
it's cool. I think again, JRPGs are known for like their mechanics as well. You know, and that's what they're really known for.
Yes.
The other JRPG that was announced that comes to the West, or I think it was announced it was delayed, was Persona 5. That's another weird one. Persona 5, I played Persona 4 Golden. It's an amazing game. It's so weird.
Yeah.
So weird. Like, just, I don't know. It just I don't understand it. And the Japanese have this thing about real life simulators. Why have you got to put real life in a video game? I'm playing a game to get away from real life, you know. But at the same time, you know, it's very strange. But they're very good games. So Persona 5 is something I'm looking forward to. Can't wait to get my hands. Can't wait to get my grubby paws on that.
Anything else that you want to talk about before we go to finish up these stories?
I have to do one more, and it's a Naughty Dog one, and they ended. It wasn't a gameplay footage, but they announced The Last of Us Part 2. If you haven't watched the trailer, go watch the trailer and just the music, and it looks incredible. Naughty Dog knocked it out of the park this year. They saved Sony, so I can't wait to see The Last of Us Part 2. And that's another game you have to play.
Yes.
The Last of Us.
Yeah, my buddy also has that one. I'm going to be able to play a lot of games because he has them. So I'm excited to play The Last of Us. That's a game where I've seen people playing it. And I'm like, man, I want to check that game out, but I don't have a console. So I'm excited to play it. And, you know, hopefully that happens. And The Last of Us Part 2, I agree. That trailer looked fantastic. Very, very interesting. Just the girls sitting there singing. I thought it was great.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to, well, we got all the stories out of the way, so I guess the next thing is the game off. Last week, we did the game off. I chose Firewatch, and you chose Rocket League. I have not looked at the results, so let's take a look. Results.
I'm out. I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I think that was more of a protest vote against me, personally. That's disgusting. Come on, guys. Rocket League is better than that.
They're both great games, and you should play both of them. Firewatch, you can finish in a couple hours, though. Rocket League, you'll be playing for days. So, you know, they're both really good games. This week, why don't you go first? I always go first.
Okay. Age before beauty or something. I'm waiting for the internet to load everything up. Everything in my end has just gone really slow. Well, my game is a great little indie developed game. Was actually released this year. It's on mobile. It's on iOS, Android, and it's on PC. It's Crashlands. If you haven't played this game, I suggest you go out and go play it. It's a fantastic little game. You kind of compare it to like Don't Starve, Terraria, all into one kind of beautiful mix where they've taken out the infantry management of those games and basically given you a way of just to go out and just, you know, have fun in it. It's really, really cool. The humor is hilarious, and it's one of my favorite games of this year to come out on a mobile device, and it's really hard. Like, not just hard, like really, really hard. And I think this game might appeal to you, Ranjan. This is really up your street if you're watching the trailer.
I am.
And it's just a very cool, good looking game. And also they have cross-save between your mobile device and your PC.
Oh,
so it's
that's
like really
cool. That's something I really like. So I could play it on my phone, and then when I get home, I could sit down and play the same world that I've been building on my computer.
Yes, exactly that. Yep, bingo.
That's great. That's a
Yeah,
good
so-
idea. There's been a lot of
Yeah.
games where I've said to myself, man, they need to do this in order for me to want to play that game. So I like that idea. All right. The game
Before
that
you do yours, can you just give me 2 seconds?
Sure.
I need to turn the light on for my son. 2
All right.
seconds.
Yeah, that's fine. 1, 2. See, now he had his 2 seconds, and time is up. Let's see. Guild Wars 2 is no better with its skimpy clothing and cat ears and bunny ears and stuff. I really... No, I disagree, Snow. When you see the mechanic in Final Fantasy 15, like, that goes beyond... that goes beyond what what you see in Guild Wars 2. It's really blatant. And I remember when they first showed the I thought that character was in Metal Gear Solid 5, because I'd remembered seeing that character at some point. And when they showed that character, people said, "Well, is this really necessary?" And whoever was in charge of the game, they said, "Well, you know, once you get to know the character, you'll understand why she's dressing that way." And or maybe that was a character from Metal Gear Solid 5. Was there also a character in Metal Gear Solid 5 that dressed the same way as the mechanic in Final Fantasy 15? And I'm not like body shaming or anything. I just feel like it's a little not everybody wants that on their screen when they've got young kids around. And I know that game is rated. Actually, what is Final Fantasy 15 rated? That's a question that I want to ask. It is rated... Gosh, I can't find it. Hey, what's Final Fantasy 15 rated?
I'll tell you, hang on.
Oh, he got up. I just thought he'd know. Because it's showing like some weird thing. Oh, it's rated T for teen. Okay.
Whoa! I nearly fell.
Oh.
Nearly fell off my chair. Well, there's been some serious weird lags to it. Apparently... What's going on with Google? Hang on. Anyway, that's a different weird. It is rated in the UK as 16, so it's rated kind of mature.
All right, so it's rated T for teen here. There's a lot of games. You know, I almost feel like they need to. And I was talking about how the characters are dressing in Final Fantasy 15 while you were gone, and I almost feel like there needs to be more delineations to the rating system that we have, because there are games that I play that are T for teen, and I have no problem with my son seeing that game. But I wouldn't want him to see, and part of me is like, well, Final Fantasy 15, it's just, I don't know how I feel about it. I have to think about it, because I feel like I'm being a prudish American again.
No, I completely agree with you. Final Fantasy 15, from what I've played so far, again, no story spoilers, is a wonderful game. It's a great gaming experience, but it just seems to go a little bit like... they seem to push the boundaries in the wrong direction.
Well, which boundaries are they pushing? Are they pushing the sexualist or the sexualism or the violence?
What I want to know, right? They've got 2 characters in there. You've got Gladius and the mechanic, right? And Gladius is completely and utterly ripped. Like, he is muscly from head to, he got muscles on his head where he shouldn't have muscles. No, it's like this the best way to put it is over sexualization of the human body.
Yes, and that's the thing I don't like.
Dude who, yeah, you know, it's like I don't understand it. I don't understand. And Snowgo Hounds make a very good point. Guild Wars 2 is another one. That really, a non-female, there's an outfit that you can get for a non-female, and it basically makes renders them nearly naked. Developers have to constantly do this. I don't play a game to sit there and look at a female computer character. I have my wife to do. But at the same time, I don't want to feel uncomfortable playing a damn game. You know, stop giving me these images of these characters that I just don't understand it. And the Japanese seem to be the worst. They really
Well,
do.
and I almost it feels like they're lumping us. And here's what my problem is, and then we'll go back to the game off because I got kind of distracted on a tangent. My problem is that it again feels like I can still hear you.
Okay, that's cool.
It feels like they're lumping all of us together with this stereotypical gamer that lives in their basement and has no social interaction, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. People are different, and you should make things that don't try and go after the lowest common denominator, I guess, is my problem. But I'm gonna and yes, Snow Goes Ham, you've got a really good point. It's more about objectifying women. I feel like I'm being forced to objectify women when I play a game and I see that. I'm like, no, that's not cool. I don't have a problem with somebody who's somebody walks by in a bikini or something. But when it's overly sexualized and it feels out of place because a mechanic wouldn't dress like that, that's just stupid. That's what I think bothers me the most about it. But let's move on because we are really going long today. The game that I brought to the game off is Jackbox Party Pack 3. And honestly, it could be the first one or the second one or the third one. Any of them are great, and they are incredibly fun to play with people, whether you're streaming it and playing with the audience or whether you are just have everybody sitting around the TV. Jackbox Party Pack is a game that everybody should play. Right before my daughter left for college, I even got her to install Steam on her computer and bought it for her, or the second one for her, so she could hook that up to the TV and she could play with her friends at college. So if you haven't played Jackbox Party Pack, basically it's like this weird quiz show. Everybody's got their electronic devices, maybe a laptop or a cell phone or an iPad or something, and you connect to the server and they ask you questions or ask you to draw something, and you do it up on whatever you do goes up onto the TV screen, and it's really, really fun. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely check out Jackbox Party Pack. And I just realized the reason why I always go first is because that gives me a chance to make the straw poll while you're talking about the other thing. So why don't you talk about your wish list while I build the straw poll for this?
My wish list is Final Fantasy XIV Heaven's Sword. Gimme. This is on my wish list because I really do adore this MMO. I started playing it. Why is it brought up the Crashlands thing? That's weird. Hang on, let me bring up the right link. And give you the right link. Heaven's Sword. There we go. Hang on, technical difficulty, wrong link. Oh, what do you do? Okay, copy. I think we've got it right now. Please stand by while we have to. There we go. Right, that should bring up. Yeah, still bring up Crashlands.
I'll find it. Go ahead.
Anyway,
keep talking.
Yeah, Final Fantasy Heaven's Sword for me has been like the MMO. I want to see what else this game has to offer. It plays really well with controller. You talked about an MMO earlier that plays well with controller here, so this is another one. This is it's so good. I just think that there's so much more for this game. I want to see what else they have to offer. I'm prepared to drop my sub in, and I want the X pack. So that's on my wish list.
Are you playing it on PS4 or PC?
PC. I play on PC. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't bother to load the PS. The kids play on the PS4. They play on Lego Dimensions. I barely get too much time on the PS4. So this is on PC.
Gotcha. All right, and the game that that I put on my wish list for today is, I've forgotten now. Oh, it's Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh.
You know, after watching and I've seen stuff from Metal Gear Solid 5 before, and honestly, I may have put it on my wish list in the past. But I've heard that it's a really good game, and it's been on my Steam wish list for a really long time. So I definitely want to check it out, and I'm just gonna wait for a Steam sale. Everybody says how great it is. It's just, like you said earlier, it's a shame that Kojima got screwed by Konami here. But I definitely want that game.
I would recommend playing the Ground Zeroes before you play Phantom Pain. Because Ground Zero, especially, have you played any Metal Gear Solid before Run Jump?
I played the first one when it first came out for about, I don't know, maybe a half an hour, and I didn't own it, so I didn't get to play it very much. I played the original Metal Gear on the NES.
Yes.
So that was a long time ago.
All I would say as well is just do some reading before you play this game, because you'll need to know some of the backstory behind it. The game doesn't do a very good job filling in new players. So play Ground Zero first.
What I ended up doing
was
when Diablo 3 was announced, I skipped Diablo 2 because they was just in development for a really long time, and then when it came out, I was playing something else, and I was like, whatever. So when Diablo 3 came out, I went on YouTube and I watched all of the cutscenes for Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 just to help myself be caught up for Diablo 3. So maybe if I do end up picking up Metal Gear Solid 5 in the future, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just sit down for 3-4 hours and watch all of the cutscenes.
Nice.
What I actually did was I was on my treadmill watching Diablo cutscenes. Because I just found a playlist that had all the Diablo cutscenes, and I just hit play, and I was on my treadmill, and you know that's what I do. I watch stuff on my treadmill, so that's a way for me to get caught up on that. So maybe that's how I'll do it.
It's a great game. It's one of my favorite of all time. It's really good.
All right, so that's it for us for the show this week. If you want to support the show, you can do so with a review on iTunes. If you want to be part of the show, you can email us at runjumpstomp@gmail.com, or you can call and leave us a voicemail at 260-RUN-JUMP. That's 260-786-5867. In addition to that, we have our Game of the Year contest, or not contest, but voting going on right now. So if you guys, I posted the link earlier. It's going to take me a second to find it. Zap, while I'm doing this, actually, never mind, I found it. I'm going to drop a link back into chat one more time. If you want to be part of the video game awards that we have, here's basically how it's going to work. We've got a place for you to vote. Next week, we're going to do very little news stuff probably, unless something huge happens. And Zap is going to pick one from each category. I'm going to pick one from each category. And you guys are going to pick one from each category. So make sure that you guys get out there and vote at the RJS Video Game Awards. We want to know what you guys think. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at RunJumpStomp. And Zap, where is it that people are going to be able to find you?
On Twitch and Twitter is at DJZap. On YouTube is at JaggerZap.
All right, that's it for us. We will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for joining us today. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Stupid thing is broken again. There we go.